procedural concerns have.
If I may, I think if it's a procedural concern and not something that the commission would be taking action on, it would be more appropriately for the second.
Why don't we just hear how it starts and then we can decide.
Yes, good morning. For the record, Fred Volz. Based on 2 Nevada Supreme Court decisions and guidelines listed in the State Attorney General's Open Meeting Law Manual, one item on today's agenda has been inadequately noticed to the public and should be removed. The clear and complete standard for noticing agenda items at public agency meetings was outlined in the 2003 case Sandoval versus Board of Regents, which stated in pertinent part, quote, Nevada's open meeting law seeks to give the public clear notice of the topics to be discussed at public meetings so that the public can attend a meeting when an issue of interest will be discussed.
So, Mr. Volz, which item are you
Well,
alleging?
I'm getting to that, Commissioner. It's 3A specifically, and there is inadequate notice. So if you allow me to lay out the facts, I would appreciate it.
I don't think that's,
It's not something to be commented on by the public, but there's a procedural problem with the way this has been noticed, and that's what I'm...
then we should take that up with the Attorney General's office.
Well, it really shouldn't be discussed because there hasn't been sufficient notice.
You can do your public comment at the end. Thank you, Mr. Volz. It's all the comment we have in the North, Chairman, until the end.
Mr. Fazio is in Las Vegas.
I checked off the wrong one.
Okay, all right, so that's at the end?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so let's go to item 2A. 2A is mine. It is a stipulation with regard to American Broadband and Telecommunications Company to become an eligible telecommunications carrier. You have before you a stipulation, and I'm here to answer questions if you have any.
No, thank you.
I have none.
I would move then that we accept the stipulation, grant the application as provided in the stipulation, and issue the order.
Second.
Concur.
Items 2B and 2C are brought to us pursuant to Section 252 of the Telecommunications Act of 1996. It can be voted upon without any further discussion unless any commissioner has questions or comments.
No, thank you.
I have none.
Hearing no requests, I move that we grant the joint petitions, approve the corresponding amendments to the agreements, and issue the respective orders.
Second.
Concur.
Item 3 is brought to us by General Counsel and is noticed as a discussion item only. Ms. Hannah?
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Very briefly, AB 74 has passed both houses and is enrolled, as is AB 75 and SB 86. SB 87 is on general file today on the Assembly floor, and SB 46 was heard at Senate Finance last week before, for the Friday before, and nothing has been scheduled yet, and no action was taken at that meeting. Thank you.
Items 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, 4E, 4F, and 4G are brought to us by regulatory operations staff and can be voted on without further comment unless any commissioner wants to pull them out for further consideration.
No, thank you.
I have none.
Or then move the commission accept the recommendations contained in staff's briefing memos regarding items 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, 4E, 4F, and 4G, and issue the appropriate orders.
Second.
Concur.
Item 5A is time for comments from the general public on any topic that is relevant and is jurisdictional to the commission. Any member of the public wish to make a statement of hearts and say.
Mr. Volz, now's the time to allege your concerns.
Thank you, Commissioner. Actually, it's not, but that's okay. We'll deal with it in another way. My name is Fred Volz, for the record. Incomplete staff work that fails to identify and resolve problems with utility filings continues to plague docket 14-10,019, dealing with NVE's proposed prepaid FlexPay program. The hearing officer signing the procedural order apparently didn't read 5 pages of questions submitted through the Commission's commenter process on January 30th of this year and before his February 4th workshop. This same employee distilled just 3 narrow questions from the cumulative input, which doesn't begin to adequately deal with this docket's fundamental problems. Regulatory operations staff subsequently filed its opinion, which demonstrates a shocking lack of analysis or understanding of the customer class it claims to knowingly regulate. Proposing automatic payments from bank accounts for level utility payment plans ignores the large number of people who have participated in these programs at other utilities, such as Arizona's Salt River Project, who have no bank accounts and operate their lives on a cash basis. If regulatory operations had been doing a thorough job, it would have asked and answered the question, how many of NVE's prospective participants have no bank accounts? Another unaddressed issue before staff summarily recommended a pilot prepay program. One doesn't pilot something that hasn't been fully vetted and carefully planned. Recommending the temporary wholesale suspension of the Consumer Bill of Rights during a pilot places the ratepayer at a huge disadvantage versus a sophisticated utility. The final failure in regulatory operations response is that staff takes no position as to who will pay pilot or permanent prepaid program costs. As it stands, non-participating ratepayers would pay virtually all program costs of a prepay option, not the actual participants. Could the actual participants even afford to pay the significant and ongoing additional costs given their current economic struggles? What if few ultimately participate in such a program and the cost per participant skyrocket? The shockingly deficient regulatory operations analysis provides yet another example that the skill set among career regulatory staff and attorneys repeatedly miss fundamental issues and fail to serve the public interest. Even when provided questions by the public, they are not asked and answered, nor does the public know which questions are asked and answered in the secretive investigation process. A more in-depth list of unanswered questions will be submitted as an exhibit to this testimony. We do need a much higher quality and complete work product from PUC staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Volz.
Mr.
That's all we have, Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Fazio?
For the record, Angel DeFazio. On May 8th, the Overwork Commission apparently found time to spend time to support SB 46 rather than file comments. Did you really think that appearing in support was effective in showing time management and priority skills while claiming to be so overworked and having to work past 5? I know that all the long faces that prevailed after Commissioner Sisolak spoke tended to be an enjoyable sight to the ratepayers. There are a lot of potential subsidies being discussed, and seeing how the Commission tends to strive for in the public interest, let's see how much we are now going to have to shoulder. Just have to love how your staff is supporting flex pay that benefits such a small percentage of customers, yet every other ratepayer has to pay for this system to be enacted. Sure, it's not their money. They agreed to every fly-by-night proposal of NVE and passed the costs on to the ratepayers. Where is the reality of how many people will be using this? How many will incur more expenses to upgrade to this option? You were quick to force the opt-out people to shoulder the cost for meter readers, which if paid for by ratepayers would be pennies each month based on the number of participants. The endorsement from your RO staff just shows how prejudiced they are to those who want something that they don't like, so they advise you against it. But when they like it, it's fair game upon everyone else. At least one step in the right direction has been done with the NVE deposits. Effective June 1st, they are enacting my suggestion of going from 3 to 4 months to pay it off. Gee, no impact on ratepayers, and the burden is somewhat taken off of the new customer. You don't have the expertise to come up with such a simple solution? That should have been suggested. This is the proof that real-life experience generates more reasonable and doable solutions.